The fluorescent lights of Lincoln Preparatory Academy's hallway buzz overhead as Emma Chen wipes paint off her hands with a paper towel that's already saturated with primary colors. It's 6:47 p.m. on a Thursday, and she's the last teacher in the building again. Not because she has to be, but because staying late means she doesn't have to go home to her silent apartment and think about the eviction notice taped to her door. 3 months behind on rent. Her mother's assisted living facility costs more than Emma makes in a month, even with the weekend shifts she picks up at the art supply store in Brooklyn. Her father's medical debt, inherited when he passed 2 years ago, sits like a boulder on her chest. Collections agencies call daily. She's stopped answering numbers she doesn't recognize. Emma locks her classroom door, her kingdom of sensory tools and calm-down corners and visual schedules that make sense to the 8 students who need the world translated differently. Room 14 is where kids who don't fit anywhere else finally fit. It's the only place Emma feels like she's doing something that matters. Her keys jangle as she walks toward the exit, sneakers squeaking on waxed floors. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. The main office light is still on. Probably Principal Morrison finishing paperwork. Emma doesn't stop to say goodnight. Morrison made it clear last week that budget cuts are coming, and special education is expensive. Emma's job hangs by a thread. The November air bites through her thin jacket as she steps outside. She should take the subway, but she's been walking the 43 blocks home lately. Saves $7 a day. $7 is 2 meals if she's careful. Emma is halfway down the school's front steps when she hears it. A sound that stops her cold because she knows it intimately, has heard it 1,000 times in 1,000 variations. A child screaming, not in anger, but in complete overwhelm. The kind of scream that comes when the world is too loud, too bright, too much, and there's no escape. She turns toward the sound. Across the street, in front of an idling black SUV with tinted windows, a small boy thrashes in the arms of a man in an expensive suit. The man is trying to get the child into the vehicle, and the child is fighting with everything he has. No, no, no. The boy's voice cracks with desperation. His hands are clamped over his ears, his body rigid with panic. Emma's feet move before her brain catches up. She crosses the street, dodging a taxi, her teacher instincts overriding every logical thought about minding her own business in New York City. "Stop touching him," Emma says firmly as she reaches them. The man in the suit freezes. He's tall, intimidating, with sharp features and eyes that assess Emma in less than a second. Behind him, another man emerges from the driver's seat, hand moving inside his jacket in a way that makes Emma's stomach drop. "Walk away," the first man says quietly. His voice is calm, controlled, but carries an unmistakable edge of danger. Emma ignores him. She crouches down to the boy's eye level, not touching, staying several feet back. The child is maybe 8, with dark, curly hair and eyes squeezed shut against the world. He's wearing a private school uniform, expensive, but it's disheveled like he's been fighting all day. "Hey," Emma says softly, not reaching out, just being present. "That sounds really hard right now. Everything feels too big, doesn't it?" The boy's screaming stutters. His eyes crack open just slightly. "My name is Emma. I'm a teacher. I help kids when things feel too loud or too bright or too scratchy." She keeps her voice low, melodic, the same tone she uses with her students during meltdowns. "You don't have to talk to me. You don't have to look at me. But I'm going to sit right here with you until your body feels quieter. Is that okay?" The suited man steps forward. "Miss, you need to..." "Nico." A new voice cuts through the moment like a blade. Emma looks up to see another man emerging from the back of the SUV. He's older, maybe mid-40s, with silver threading through dark hair. His suit probably costs more than Emma's annual salary. Everything about him radiates authority and barely contained violence. But his eyes are on the boy, and in them Emma sees something she recognizes: fear. Not for himself, but for this child. "Let her try," the man says quietly. Nico hesitates, then steps back, though his hand stays near his jacket. Emma returns her attention to the boy. "Is the car too loud? The engine sound?" A tiny nod. "Okay, that makes sense. Engine sounds can feel like they're inside your head, right? Especially the rumbling." Emma reaches slowly into her bag, telegraphing every movement. "I have something that might help. You don't have to use it. But I'm going to show you, okay? She pulls out a pair of noise-canceling headphones, bright blue, child-sized. One of her students left them in her classroom, and Emma keeps meaning to return them but hasn't gotten around to it. Now she's grateful for her procrastination. These make the world quieter, Emma explains, setting them on the ground between them. Not forcing, just offering. They're magic sound blockers. When things get too noisy, they help your ears rest. The boy stares at the headphones. His rocking has slowed. His breathing is still rapid, but not panicked. I'm going to stay right here, Emma continues. I won't touch you. I won't make you do anything. But those headphones are there if you want them. And when you're ready, when your body feels calmer, maybe then the car won't feel so scary. Seconds stretch. The suited men watch. The older man doesn't move, barely seems to breathe. Then the boy's hand reaches out, slowly, carefully, like he's expecting a trap. His fingers close around the headphones. He pulls them on, and Emma watches his entire body sag with relief as the world's volume decreases. There you go, Emma whispers. Better? A small nod. The car still feels scary though, doesn't it? Because it's a small space and you've been having a big feelings day. Another nod. Emma thinks fast. What if we make the car less scary? What if you picked something to hold that makes you feel safe? Sometimes my students hold a stuffed animal or a fidget toy. Something that reminds them they're okay. Dinosaur. You have a dinosaur? He points to the SUV's open door. Emma can see a stuffed triceratops on the back seat, purple and well-loved. That's a great dinosaur, Emma says. Triceratops are protectors, you know. They had those big horns to keep their families safe. If you had your dinosaur, would the car feel less scary? The boy thinks about this, then nods. The older man moves with surprising gentleness. He retrieves the stuffed dinosaur and hands it to the boy, who clutches it immediately. Okay, Emma says. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to hold your protector, dinosaur. You're going to wear the magic sound blockers, and you're going to get in the car at your own pace. Nobody's going to rush you or touch you unless you want help. Does that sound okay? The boy looks at the car, then at Emma, then at the older man, who Emma realizes must be his father from the way they have the same eyes. Will you come? The boy asks Emma. Emma's heart stutters. Sweetheart, I don't think. Please. The boy's voice breaks. You make it quiet. Emma looks up at the father. His expression is unreadable, but something passes across his face. A decision being made in real time. Get in, he says to Emma. I'm sorry, what? You helped my son when no one else could. Get in the car. I'll explain everything, but right now he needs you. And I don't argue with what my son needs. Every instinct Emma has screams this is a terrible idea. Getting into a car with strange men and a child she doesn't know violates every safety rule she's ever learned. But she looks at the boy, at his desperate eyes behind the headphones, and thinks of her students, the ones who need someone to understand when the world is too much. Okay, Emma hears herself say, but just to help him get home safely. Then I need to go. The father's lips curve into something that's not quite a smile. Of course, Emma helps the boy into the car, moving slowly, letting him set the pace. He climbs into his booster seat, dinosaur clutched tight, and Emma slides in beside him. The father takes the seat across from them. Nico gets in the driver's seat, and another man Emma hadn't noticed climbs in beside him. As the car pulls away from Lincoln Preparatory Academy, Emma realizes she's just made either the best or worst decision of her life. The boy leans against her slightly, seeking pressure, and Emma lets him. His breathing is finally calm. What's your name? Emma asks gently. Luca, the boy whispers. It's nice to meet you, Luca. You did really brave today, getting in the car even, though it was scary. Luca doesn't respond, but his grip on the dinosaur loosens slightly. Emma looks up to find the father watching them with an expression she can't quite read. Something between gratitude and calculation. Thank you, he says quietly. My son has been having daily meltdowns for 6 months. 3 therapists have quit. Today was particularly bad. School called me to pick him up early, and he's been inconsolable since noon. Sensory processing challenges are really common with autism, Emma says automatically, slipping into teacher mode. especially during transitions or when routines change. Did something happen at school today that was different than usual? The father's eyebrows raised slightly. How did you know he's autistic? I'm a special education teacher. I work with autistic kids every day. The way Luca was covering his ears, his rocking pattern, the intensity of his reaction to the car's sensory input, these are all signs I recognize. Miss Chen, Emma Chen. Miss Chen, you just accomplished in 5 minutes what trained professionals haven't managed in 6 months. Emma shrugs. I just listened to what his body was telling me it needed. Most people try to force compliance. You can't force someone out of sensory overload. You have to reduce the input and offer coping tools. They're driving through Manhattan now, heading uptown. Emma notices they're not taking the most direct routes, as if the driver is checking for something. Or someone. Where are we going? Emma asks, suddenly aware of how little she knows about this situation. My home. Upper East Side. It's secure, private, and Luca has all his familiar items there. The father's voice is calm, but Emma catches something underneath. A warning, maybe. Or a promise. I really should get back to my apartment. I'll have someone drive you home after Luca is settled. But if you can help with his bedtime routine, ensure he's calm. The father trails off. I would consider it a personal favor, and I compensate favors generously. Emma thinks of the eviction notice, the past due bills. Her mother's care facility threatening to discharge her if payments don't come soon. How generously, she hears herself ask. The father pulls out his wallet. He extracts a stack of $100 bills, counts out 10, and hands them to Emma. $1,000. Casually, like it's nothing. For tonight. If you're willing to consider a more permanent arrangement, we can discuss terms. Emma stares at the money in her hands. It's more than she makes in 2 weeks. What kind of permanent arrangement? Luca needs someone who understands him. Someone who doesn't see him as a problem to fix, but as a person who experiences the world differently. You did that tonight without thinking twice. The father's eyes are intense. I'm offering you a position as his private aide. You'd work with him after school, help with homework, manage his sensory needs, coordinate with his therapists. The pay is $60,000 a year, plus health insurance and a housing allowance. Emma's brain short-circuits. $60,000. She makes $34,000 at Lincoln Prep. And they're cutting her position anyway. I already have a job. One that's being eliminated in the spring budget cuts, the father says smoothly. I'm aware of Lincoln Preparatory's financial situation. I'm offering you security, Miss Chen. And more importantly, I'm offering my son the chance to work with someone who genuinely helps him. How do you know about the budget cuts? Emma's voice comes out sharper than intended. The father just looks at her, and in that moment Emma understands. This man knows things. This man has resources and connections that go far beyond normal wealthy parent territory. Who are you? Emma asks quietly. My name is Dante Moretti, he says. And I think you already know the answer to that question, Miss Chen. You're a smart woman. You've noticed the security detail, the careful driving route, the way my men carry weapons. Emma's mouth goes dry. Moretti. She's heard that name before, in whispers, in news reports quickly buried. The Moretti family isn't just wealthy. They're something else entirely. You're a businessman, Dante finishes smoothly, with complicated interests and even more complicated enemies, which is why my son's safety is paramount, and why anyone close to him receives the highest level of protection. Emma should get out of this car immediately, should run as far and fast as she can from Dante Moretti and his world of violence and danger. But Luca's hand finds hers, small fingers gripping tight, seeking comfort. And Emma thinks of her mother alone in that facility, of the debt collectors circling, of the eviction notice, of how she's barely been surviving, just treading water and slowly drowning. I need to think about it, Emma says. Fair enough. Dante settles back in his seat. But for tonight, help me get my son to bed peacefully. That's all I ask. The car pulls up to a building that makes Emma's breath catch. It's one of those Upper East Side addresses where apartments cost millions, where doormen wear actual uniforms, where everything gleams with old money. Nico opens the door, and Dante helps Luca out carefully. The boy keeps the headphones on, clutching his dinosaur. Emma follows them inside, past a doorman who nods respectfully, into an elevator with actual marble walls. They rise to the penthouse in silence. The apartment is not what Emma expected. Yes, it's enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Yes, every surface speaks of wealth. But it's also clearly a home. Luca's drawings cover the refrigerator. Sensory toys are scattered across the living room. A weighted blanket drapes over the couch. His room is this way, Dante says, leading them down a hallway. Luca's bedroom is a sensory paradise, soft lighting with dimmers, a crash pad in the corner, noise-canceling curtains, a bed with a weighted blanket and compression sheets. Every accommodation Emma could think of, and more. Whoever set this room up knows what they're doing, Emma says, genuinely impressed. I've spared no expense, Dante replies, but equipment isn't the same as understanding. Luca's previous aides focused on compliance. You focused on compassion. Luca is already gravitating toward his bed, exhausted from the meltdown. Emma helps him out of his school uniform, guiding him through the motions with gentle reminders. Pajamas? She asks, pointing to the drawer Luca indicates. They move through the bedtime routine slowly, at Luca's pace. Emma notices how Dante hovers in the doorway, watching everything, learning. Does he have a bedtime story routine? Emma asks. He hasn't let anyone read to him in months, Dante admits quietly. His mother used to. Before. He doesn't finish the sentence. Doesn't need to. Emma hears everything in that silence. Luca, Emma, says gently. Would you like me to read you a story? Or would you prefer to just rest quietly? Luca considers this, then points to a bookshelf. Emma retrieves the book he indicates, a worn copy of Where the Wild Things Are. She sits on the edge of his bed and begins to read, her voice soft and rhythmic. Luca's eyes grow heavy. Dante watches from the doorway, and Emma sees his expression crack just slightly, revealing something raw beneath. By the time Emma finishes the story, Luca is asleep, his breathing deep and even. Emma stands carefully, following Dante out of the room. He closes the door quietly behind them. That's the first time he's gone to bed without screaming in 3 months. Dante says, his voice rough with emotion. Miss Chen, whatever you want, whatever you need, name it. But please, help my son. Emma looks at this dangerous man who is also a desperate father, and makes a decision that will change everything. Okay, she says. I'll do it. But I have conditions. Emma's conditions are simple. She keeps her teaching job at Lincoln Prep until the end of the semester, working with Luca only in the evenings and weekends. Her mother's care facility bills get paid directly. No questions asked. And most importantly, she gets complete honesty about what she's walking into. Dante agrees to everything except the last condition. Some things are better left unknown, he says as they sit in his study. A room that smells of expensive leather and older money. For your own protection. That's not how this works, Emma counters, surprising herself with her boldness. Maybe it's the exhaustion, or maybe it's the $1,000 still folded in her pocket, making her feel reckless. You want me around your son, in your home, part of your life. I need to know what I'm stepping into. Dante studies her for a long moment. Then he pours 2 glasses of whiskey from a crystal decanter, sliding one across the desk to her. I run a family business, he begins. Carefully. Import, export, real estate, various investments. Some of these businesses operate in gray areas. Some of my competitors are not content with fair competition. They prefer more direct methods. Your mob, Emma says flatly. I prefer the term organized businessman. Dante's lips quirk slightly. But yes, if you want to use the tabloid terminology, my family has been part of New York's underworld for 3 generations. Emma takes a sip of the whiskey. It burns going down but steadies her somehow. And your son is a target because of this. My son is precious to me, which makes him a weapon my enemies would love to wield. Dante's voice hardens. Luca's mother, Sophia, was killed 4 years ago. A car bomb meant for me. Luca was at school, thank God. But he saw the news coverage before I could get to him. Saw his mother's car burning on every channel. Emma's chest tightens. That's when the autism symptoms intensified. The doctors say he was likely born with it, but the trauma made everything worse. He stopped speaking for 8 months. The meltdowns became daily. He couldn't sleep without nightmares. Dante drains his glass. I've tried everything. The best therapists, the most expensive programs. Nothing worked because Luca doesn't trust people anymore. He learned too young that the world is dangerous. But he trusted me tonight, Emma says softly. Yes. Dante refills his glass. Which means you're now both an asset and a liability. An asset because you can help my son heal. A liability because anyone watching will see you as important to me. Emma's stomach drops. You're saying I'm in danger just by helping Luca. I'm saying I'll ensure you're protected. Full security detail, background checks on anyone in your life, surveillance on your apartment, everything necessary to keep you safe. That's insane. That's reality. Miss Chen, Dante leans forward. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to be honest, which is what you demanded. You help my son, I protect you. That's the arrangement. Emma should walk out, should run back to her tiny apartment and her normal life of crushing debt and quiet desperation. But she thinks of Luca's hand in hers, the way he finally calmed, the peace on his face when he fell asleep. And she thinks of the eviction notice, her mother's mounting medical bills, the pink slip coming at the end of the semester. When do I start? Emma asks. The next morning, Emma wakes to find a black SUV parked outside her apartment building, the same one from yesterday. Nico stands beside it, arms crossed, watching her building's entrance like a hawk. Emma's neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, is staring at the SUV with undisguised suspicion when Emma emerges. Emma, mija, why are there gangsters watching our building? Mrs. Rodriguez demands in rapid Spanish. They're not gangsters, they're private security. Emma lies badly. Private security for a teacher? What kind of trouble are you in? No trouble, I promise. I just took a second job that comes with transportation. Mrs. Rodriguez doesn't look convinced, but she lets it drop. Emma hurries to the SUV before more neighbors can start asking questions. Mr. Moretti sent me to drive you to school, Nico says, opening the back door. And to stay with you throughout the day. I don't need a bodyguard at an elementary school, Emma protests. With respect, Miss Chen, you don't know what you need. I do. This is non-negotiable. Emma climbs into the SUV, feeling like her life is spinning out of control faster than she can process. At Lincoln Prep, Principal Morrison does a double take when she sees Emma arrive in a chauffeured vehicle with a man in a suit trailing behind her. Miss Chen, a word? Morrison's voice is tight. In the principal's office, Morrison closes the door and crosses her arms. Do you want to explain what's happening? I took a part-time position helping a family with their blow. Autistic son. They're very security conscious. Security conscious? Morrison's eyebrows raise. Emma, that man outside looks like he's Secret Service. What kind of family are we talking about? A private one, Emma says carefully. I'm still fully committed to my students here. This doesn't affect my teaching. Morrison looks like she wants to argue, but the school board's budget meeting is today, the one where they'll finalize the cuts. She knows Emma knows her job is being eliminated. Fighting over a second job seems pointless. Just be careful, Morrison finally says. And try to keep the obvious security presence minimal. Parents are already nervous about safety. Emma's day proceeds normally until lunch, when she finds Nico standing outside her classroom door, turning away a confused delivery man. He says you ordered food, Nico tells her. But you didn't, so he's leaving. I did order food, Emma says, showing her phone. Thai from that place 2 blocks over. I order. Every Friday. Nico takes her phone, examines the order, then makes a call. Running a check on the restaurant. Yes, the usual place. Okay, verify the driver's ID matches the app. Emma watches in disbelief as Nico interrogates the poor delivery driver for 5 minutes before finally accepting the food and inspecting every container. This is ridiculous, Emma mutters. This is protocol, Nico corrects. 2 years ago, the Calabrese family tried to poison a rival by intercepting their food delivery. We don't take chances. Emma eats her pad thai while trying not to think about poisoning attempts in rival families. Her students notice Nico immediately when they return from lunch. Miss Chen, who's that man? Asks Tyler, one of her 8-year-olds with ADHD and zero filter. That's Mr. Nico. He's helping me today. Is he your boyfriend? Asks Mia, sparking giggles around the classroom. No, he's definitely not my boyfriend. Is he a spy? Tyler persists. He's a very boring assistant, Emma says firmly. Now, who wants to work on our feelings chart? By the time school ends, Emma is exhausted from fielding questions about Nico. who has become an object of intense fascination for her students. Several parents give her odd looks during pickup, clearly wondering about the imposing man shadowing her every move. "Can we go now?" Emma asks Nico. "I need to get to Luca. We're waiting for the building to clear. Standard security protocol." "How long will I have to live like this?" Nico looks at her with something that might be sympathy. "As long as you're important to the Moretti family, Miss Chen. Get used to it." Luca is waiting when Emma arrives at the penthouse, already wearing his noise-canceling headphones, clutching his dinosaur. His face lights up when he sees her. "Emma!" His voice is muffled but enthusiastic. Emma's heart swells. She kneels down to his level. "Hey, buddy. How was your day?" Luca's expression. Clouds. Loud. There was a fire drill. I didn't know it was coming. Oh no. Fire drills are the worst when you don't get warning. The alarm is so loud and sudden. I hid under my desk. The teacher said I was being bad. Emma's jaw tightens. She makes a mental note to talk to Dante about getting a 504 plan in place at Luca's school, ensuring he gets advance notice of fire drills and other sensory challenges. "You weren't being bad," Emma says firmly. "You were protecting yourself from overwhelming sound. That's smart, not bad. Your body did exactly what it needed to do." Luca looks at her like she's handed him the world. "Really? Really? Come on, let's work on your homework, and then we can do something fun." They settle at the dining table, which Dante has had outfitted with fidget tools and a wobble cushion for Luca's seat. Emma guides him through his math worksheet, breaking problems into manageable steps, offering sensory breaks when his focus wavers. Dante appears halfway through, standing in the doorway watching them work. Emma notices how different he looks in casual clothes, dark jeans and a fitted t-shirt that shows off muscular arms marked with scars. Less businessman, more dangerous. "How's it going?" Dante asks quietly, not wanting to disrupt Luca's concentration. "Good. He's doing great with multiplication facts. We're using physical objects to make it concrete." Dante watches his son successfully complete a problem and smile with pride. Something in Dante's expression softens, becomes almost vulnerable. "Can I talk to you after?" Dante asks Emma. "In private?" Emma nods, though her stomach flutters nervously. An hour later, after Luca is settled with his occupational therapist for his evening session, Emma follows Dante to his study. "I need to discuss something with you." Dante begins, gesturing for her to sit. "I'm having an event here next week. A business dinner with several associates. Luca will need to make a brief appearance, say hello, to guests, then return to his room. Can you help him prepare for that?" "What kind of business dinner?" Emma asks carefully. "The kind where everyone will be armed and discussing territorial agreements," Dante says bluntly. "I'm not going to lie to you. These are dangerous men. But they're also men who respect family, who understand that children are off limits. Luca will be safe. Will I be safe? You'll be by Luca's side the entire time. And yes, you'll be safe. I guarantee it." Emma considers this. Luca struggles with social situations. Being paraded in front of strangers will be hard for him. "I know. That's why I need you, to help him get through it without a meltdown. Why does he need to appear at all?" Dante's jaw tightens. "Because showing weakness invites attacks. If my competitors think Luca is too unstable to even appear at a family dinner, they'll see that as vulnerability. I need to show that my son is thriving, that we're strong." Emma hates this, hates that an 8-year-old child has to perform stability for dangerous men. But she also understands survival, understands that Dante is trying to protect his son in the only way this world allows. "I'll help him," Emma says. "But we do it my way. No surprises, full preparation, and if he starts to get overwhelmed, we leave immediately. His well-being comes before your business politics." Dante stares at her like no one has ever given him conditions before. Then, surprisingly, he smiles. A real smile that transforms his entire face. "Deal." Over the next week, Emma throws herself into preparing Luca. They create a visual schedule of exactly what will happen during the dinner. They practice introducing himself to strangers using role play. They establish hand signals for when Luca needs a break. They pick out clothes he finds comfortable, not scratchy. Emma also learns more about Dante's world through careful observation. She notices how Nico and the other security men treat Dante with absolute deference, how people come and go from the penthouse at odd hours for hushed meetings, How Dante's phone rings constantly with calls he takes in other rooms, his voice low and threatening. She learns that the Moretti family controls large portions of New York's shipping industry, several legitimate businesses that hide less legitimate operations. She learns there are 4 other families in the city, an uneasy peace maintained through territory agreements and mutual respect. And she learns that Dante's biggest rival is a man named Vincent Calabrese, whose family has been trying to expand into Moretti territory for years. The Calabrese family plays dirty. Nico tells her one evening while driving her home. They don't respect the old rules, don't care about civilians getting caught in crossfire. Why are you telling me this? Emma asks. Because you should know what you're up against. The boss. He's trying to protect you, but you're visible now. People in our world notice when Dante Moretti hires someone new, especially someone who spends time with his son. Emma's hands clench in her lap. Have people been watching me? Always. That's why I'm here. Nico pulls up to her building. Get some sleep, Miss Chen. The dinner is tomorrow night. Emma barely sleeps. She lies awake thinking about what she's gotten herself into, about dangerous men gathering in Dante's home, about Luca being put on display like a show pony. The next evening, Emma arrives early to help Luca get ready. He's already anxious, rocking slightly, his dinosaur clutched tight. I don't want to, Luca says immediately. Too many people, too loud. I know, Emma says gently. But remember our plan? You're going to walk in with me, say hello to your dad's friends, show them you're brave, and then we're going to come right back to your room. 10 minutes, that's all. 10 minutes is forever. Then we'll make it 5. But Luca, your dad needs you to do this. Can you be brave for 5 minutes? Luca looks at her with those wide, frightened eyes. Then nods. They practice the routine 3 more times. Emma has him wear his noise-canceling headphones until the last minute. She's armed with fidget toys, his weighted vest, every tool she can think of. At 7 p.m., the guests begin arriving. Emma watches from Luca's room as men in expensive suits fill the penthouse. They all look like Dante, successful but dangerous, carrying themselves like predators. Dante appears at the doorway, wearing a dark suit that makes him look even more intimidating. His eyes find Emma first, then his son. You both look perfect, he says quietly. Thank you for doing this. We're ready, Emma says with more confidence than she feels. They walk into the dining room together. Conversation stops as everyone turns to look at them. Emma feels the weight of 24 dangerous men assessing her, assessing Luca. Luca presses against Emma's side, overwhelmed but holding. Gentlemen, Dante says, pride clear in his voice. My son, Luca, and his aide, Miss Chen. The men nod respectfully. One older man with silver hair steps forward, his expression softening. Luca, you've grown since I last saw you, the man says gently. You look strong, like your father. Luca manages a small smile. Thank you, Mr. DiMarco. Emma is shocked. Luca remembered the name from their practice sessions, actually used it appropriately. He's doing it. They make it through introductions with 3 more men. Luca's hand signals to Emma that he's reaching his limit. Emma catches Dante's eye and nods toward the door. Gentlemen, if you'll excuse us, Dante says smoothly. Luca has school tomorrow. They're almost to the door when it happens. One of the guests, younger than the others, slightly drunk, calls out, That's it? The kid can't even handle 10 minutes with his father's associates? The room goes silent. Dangerously silent. Luca freezes, shame flooding his face. Emma feels him start to spiral, his breathing quickening. Before she can intervene, Dante moves. He crosses the room in 3 strides, grabs the young man by his throat, and slams him against the wall. My son, Dante says, his voice deadly quiet. Just showed more courage in 5 minutes than you've shown in your entire worthless life. He's 8 years old and dealing with challenges you couldn't begin to comprehend. So you will apologize, or I will break every bone in your disrespectful mouth. Boss, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, not to me. Dante's grip tightens. To my son. The man looks at Luca, terror in his eyes. I'm sorry, Luca. I was wrong. You did great. Dante releases him, and the man stumbles away, gasping. Dante turns to the room, his expression dangerous. Anyone else want to comment on my son's capabilities? Silence. Good. Now, Where were we? Emma ushers Luca out quickly, her heart pounding. In the hallway, Luca is shaking but not melting down. Emma kneels beside him. You okay? Dad defended me, Luca whispers, wonder in his voice. Of course he did. He loves you. But I couldn't even stay the whole time. Luca, listen to me. Emma takes his hands gently. You walked into a room full of strangers, introduced yourself, held a conversation, and did it all while managing sensory overload. That's not weakness. That's incredible strength. Your dad knows that. That's why he got so angry at that man for not seeing it. Luca processes this, then hugs Emma suddenly, fiercely. Thank you for helping me be brave, he whispers. Emma holds him close, blinking back tears. You're already brave, buddy. I just help you remember it. Behind them, Dante appears. His expression softens when he sees them embracing. I'm sorry about that, he says quietly. Tony's nephew. He won't be invited back. Is he? Emma swallows. Is he okay? He'll live. But he's learned a valuable lesson about respect. Dante kneels beside his son. Luca, I'm proud of you. You did everything I asked and more. Luca beams, the earlier shame forgotten. Can I go to my room now? Absolutely. Miss Chen will help you get ready for bed. As Emma leads Luca away, Dante catches her arm gently. Thank you, he says, and there's something in his eyes that makes Emma's breath catch. Not just for tonight, for everything. You're giving me back my son. Emma doesn't know how to respond to the intensity in his gaze, so she just nods and escapes to the safety of Luca's room. But as she helps Luca through his bedtime routine, she can't stop thinking about Dante's words, his touch, the way he looked at her like she matters. And she realizes with growing alarm that she's starting to care about these people, not as a job, but as something more dangerous, as something that feels like family. Emma doesn't see the photos until they're already everywhere. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. It's a Tuesday morning, 3 weeks after the dinner party, and she's at Lincoln Prep helping Tyler work through a math problem when Principal Morrison appears at her classroom door. Her face is pale, expression grim. Emma, we need to talk. Now. Emma's stomach drops. She follows Morrison to the office, where the principal closes the door and pulls up her computer screen. On it, a gossip blog post titled, Moretti's Mystery Woman, Teacher or Something More. The photos are damning. Emma and Dante standing close in his study, their body language intimate, Emma laughing at something Luca said while Dante watches her with unmistakable warmth. Emma and Dante at a coffee shop last week, when he'd insisted on taking her for breakfast after an overnight shift with Luca, looking for all the world like a couple. The article speculates wildly. Sources say the former teacher has moved into the notorious crime boss's penthouse. Others claim she's using the disabled son as a way to get close to Moretti's fortune. What we know for certain is that Emma Chen has gone from public school teacher to private companion in just 1 month. Emma feels sick. This isn't what it looks like. Then what is it? Morrison's voice is sharp. Because the school board is already calling. Parents are terrified. They're saying we employ someone with mob connections, that we're putting their children at risk. I'm helping a child with special needs. That's all. By spending every evening at a crime lord's penthouse? By having armed guards follow you everywhere? Morrison shakes her head. Emma, I defended you when the budget cuts were discussed. I fought to keep your position. But this? I can't protect you from this. You're firing me. I'm putting you on immediate leave, effective today. The board will make a final decision by week's end, but Emma, Morrison's expression softens slightly, you have to know how this looks. Even if nothing inappropriate is happening, the optics alone are destroying the school's reputation. Emma walks out of Lincoln Prep in a daze. Nico is waiting by the SUV, takes one look at her face, and opens the door without a word. Take me home, Emma says. My apartment, not the penthouse. Miss Chen, Mr. Moretti will want to know. I don't care what Mr. Moretti wants right now. Nico makes a phone call while driving, speaking in rapid Italian. Emma stares out the window, watching her life crumble in real time. Her phone is already blowing up with texts from colleagues, friends, even former students' parents. The photos are spreading everywhere. Her mother's care facility calls. Miss Chen, we've had several inquiries about your associations. We need to discuss whether this environment is appropriate for our community. They're threatening to discharge her mother. Because of photos. Because Emma dared to help a child, and that child happened to have a dangerous father. When they reach her apartment, Emma slams the car door and runs inside, ignoring Nico's protests. She makes it to her apartment, locks the door, and finally breaks down. She's sobbing into her pillow when someone knocks. Not a gentle knock, a forceful, demanding one. Emma, open the door. Dante, go away. Open the door, or I'm having Nico break it down. Your choice. Emma drags herself up and unlocks the door. Dante fills the doorway, his expression thunderous. He steps inside, closing the door behind him. Who took those photos? Emma demands. Who's been watching us? Calabrese's family. They've had surveillance on me for weeks, looking for weaknesses. Dante's jaw is tight. I didn't know they'd gotten shots of you until the article posted. They've destroyed my life, Dante. My job, my reputation, my mother's care facility is threatening to discharge her because I'm associated with criminal elements. Emma's voice rises. I tried to help your son, and now I'm paying for it. I know, and I'm going to fix this. How? How do you fix gossip sites and scared parents and a school board that thinks I'm some kind of mob mistress? Dante moves closer, his presence overwhelming in her small apartment. By making it official. Emma's brain short-circuits. What? The damage is done, Emma. People think you're mine. The only way to protect you now is to make it true. Move into the penthouse full-time. Not as Luca's aide, as part of the family. Under my protection completely. That's insane. That's survival. Dante's eyes are intense. You're already a target, Emma. Calabrese released those photos to smoke you out. To see how I'd react. If I distance myself from you now, you're vulnerable. If I pull you closer, you're untouchable. I'm not some chess piece in your mob war. No. You're a woman who showed my son kindness and is now paying the price for it. So let me protect you properly. Dante's voice softens. Please. Emma sinks onto her couch, overwhelmed. I can't believe this is my life now. Dante sits beside her, careful to maintain distance. I never wanted this for you. But Emma, you're not safe out here anymore. Calabrese knows your address, your routine, your mother's location. The photos were just the opening move. What's the next move? Whatever hurts me most. Dante's expression darkens. And right now, that means targeting you or Luca. I can protect you both if you're with me. I can't if you're out here, exposed. Emma thinks about her empty apartment, her lost job, her mother's precarious care situation. She thinks about Luca, who needs her, who's thriving for the first time in years. If I do this, Emma says slowly, I need real honesty. No more half-truths about your business. I need to know exactly what I'm walking into. Dante nods. Ask me anything. Have you killed people? Yes. The blunt answer steals Emma's breath. Recently? Within the last year? Yes. Within the last month? No. Why? Because they threaten my family. Because they broke agreements that keep this city's underworld from descending into chaos. Because in my world, showing mercy is the same as showing weakness. And weakness gets you killed. Emma's hands shake. I'm asking you to understand that it's the reality of my life. I was born into this family, Emma. I didn't choose it any more than Luca chose autism. We both play the hand we're dealt. Luca's autism isn't comparable to being a criminal. No, it's not. Dante's voice is quiet. But it is comparable to being born into a world that doesn't accommodate who you are, that demands you change or fail, that punishes you for not fitting the mold. I've spent my life adapting to survive in a brutal world, just like Luca does every day in his. Emma hates that the comparison makes sense, hates that she can see the parallel. What about Luca's mother? Emma asks. You said she was killed by a car bomb. Did you ever find who did it? Dante's expression goes cold. The Russo family. They thought killing Sophia would destabilize me, make me vulnerable. They were wrong. What happened to them? They no longer exist. The Russo family was absorbed by the Morettis 3 years ago. Every member who was involved in Sophia's death is dead. Emma should be horrified, should run screaming. But she thinks of Sophia, of a woman who loved her son and died violently. and she can't quite summon the moral outrage she knows she should feel. "One more question," Emma says. "Why do you care so much what happens to me? You barely know me." Dante is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is raw with honesty. "Because you're the first person in 4 years who looked at my son and saw potential instead of problems. Because you walked into our lives by accident and made everything better without asking for anything in return. Because Luca smiles now, Emma." He laughs. He tries things that used to terrify him. "That's because of you." He moves closer, his hand finding hers. "And because somewhere in the last month, watching you with my son, seeing your courage and compassion and strength, I started caring about you as more than just Luca's aid. I started caring about you as Emma." Emma's breath catches. The air between them feels charged, dangerous. "I'm not Sophia," Emma whispers. "I can't replace her. I'm not asking you to. Sophia was my wife, Luca's mother. Her place in our lives is permanent, irreplaceable. But that doesn't mean there isn't room for someone new. Someone who could be." Dante trails off, searching for words. "Someone who could be ours, if she wanted to be." Emma knows she should pull away, should maintain professional distance. But Dante's hand is warm in hers, and his eyes are vulnerable in a way she's never seen, and she realizes with startling clarity that she's already in too deep. "Okay," Emma hears herself say. "I'll move in. Full time. But Dante, if I do this, I need to feel safe. Not just physically, but emotionally. I need to know you'll be honest with me, that you won't keep me in the dark about threats. I promise. And I need you to let me keep teaching, even if it's not at Lincoln Prep. I need to feel like I'm still myself, not just an extension of your family. I'll arrange for you to tutor privately. Several families in our community have special needs children who would benefit from your expertise. You'll work when you want, with who you want." Emma nods slowly. "Then I guess I'm moving to the Upper East Side." Dante's relief is visible. He stands, pulling her up with him. "Pack what you need for tonight. I'll have movers collect the rest tomorrow." "That fast? The longer you're here, the more exposed you are." "We move now." Within an hour, Emma's entire life fits into 3 suitcases. Nico and 2 other men load them into the SUV while Emma takes one last look at her apartment. It's not much, small, cramped, with a view of a brick wall, but it was hers. "Ready?" Dante asks gently. "No. But let's go anyway." The drive back to the penthouse is quiet. Emma watches the city pass by, processing that this is now her life. She's leaving behind independence, normally, safety and anonymity. She's stepping fully into Dante Moretti's dangerous world. And somehow, despite everything, it feels like coming home. Luca's reaction to Emma moving in is pure joy. He literally jumps up and down when Dante tells him, his usual sensory regulation forgotten in his excitement. "You're staying? Forever?" Luca's eyes are wide. "For as long as you'll have me," Emma says, smiling. "Forever then. Definitely forever." Emma is given a bedroom in the same wing as Luca's, a space larger than her entire former apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook Central Park, an ensuite bathroom with a soaking tub, a walk-in closet that's currently empty, but could fit every item of clothing Emma has ever owned with room to spare. "This is too much," Emma tells Dante as he shows her around. "This is the guest suite. You're not a guest anymore, Emma. You're family. Tomorrow we'll talk about redecorating however you want it." That night, Emma lies in her enormous new bed, unable to sleep. Everything has changed so fast. A month ago, she was a struggling teacher facing eviction. Now she's living in a penthouse, protected by armed guards, entangled with the Mafia. A soft knock interrupts her spiraling thoughts. "Emma?" Luca's voice comes through the door. "Are you awake?" Emma gets up and opens the door. Luca stands there in his dinosaur pajamas, clutching his stuffed triceratops, looking small and anxious. "Can't sleep?" Emma asks gently. "I keep thinking you'll leave, that I'll wake up and you'll be gone like everyone else." Emma's heart breaks. She kneels down to his eye level. "Luca, I'm not going anywhere. I promise." Mom promised too. Then she went away and never came back. The raw pain in his voice destroys Emma. She pulls him into a gentle hug, which he allows, melting against her. "Your mom didn't want to leave you, buddy. She was taken from you. That's different. I'm choosing to stay because I care about you. Because you're important to me. Really? Really, truly? Luca is quiet for a moment, then asks in a small voice, "Can I sleep in your room? Just for tonight? I have bad dreams sometimes." Emma should probably check with Dante, maintain appropriate boundaries, but she looks at this scared little boy and can't say no. "Come on, let's build a blanket fort." They spend the next hour constructing an elaborate fort, using Emma's new couch cushions and every spare blanket they can find. Luca's anxiety visibly decreases as they work together, the familiar routine of building and creating calming his nervous system. When they finally settle into the fort, surrounded by soft blankets and fairy lights from Luca's room that they strung up, Luca looks at Emma seriously. "You're my favorite person," he says. "After Dad? Is that okay?" "That's more than okay. You're one of my favorite people too. Even though I'm different? Especially because you're different. Different is what makes you interesting, Luca. The world would be boring if everyone was the same." Luca processes this, then asks, "Do you like my dad?" Emma's breath catches. "What do you mean? The way grown-ups like each other? The way Mom and Dad used to look at each other in pictures?" Emma doesn't know how to answer honestly without overstepping, so she settles for partial truth. "Your dad is a good man who loves you very much. And yes, I like him. He's been very kind to me. Good. Because he likes you too. I can tell. He smiles more when you're here." Before Emma can respond, another knock comes at the door. "Emma? Luca?" Dante's voice, concerned. "Nico said Luca came to your room." Emma opens the door to find Dante in sleep pants and a t-shirt, his hair mussed, looking more human than she's ever seen him. "We're having a sleepover," Luca announces from the blanket fort. Emma said it was okay. Dante's expression softens as he takes in the elaborate fort construction. "I see that. Having trouble sleeping, buddy?" Bad thoughts, but Emma is helping them go away. Dante meets Emma's eyes over his son's head, and something passes between them. Gratitude, trust, and something deeper that Emma doesn't want to name yet. "Mind if I join?" Dante asks. "I was having trouble sleeping too." Luca's face lights up. "Really? Really?" So Dante Moretti, feared crime boss, controller of half of New York's underworld, crawls into the blanket fort with his son and the woman who's turned their lives upside down. They're cramped, ridiculous, surrounded by dinosaur-printed blankets and fairy lights, and Emma thinks this might be the most perfect moment of her life. Luca falls asleep first, his head on Emma's lap, his dinosaur clutched tight. Emma's hand automatically strokes his hair in soothing repetition. "Thank you," Dante says quietly. "For this. For all of it. He needed to know someone won't leave him," Emma replies just as softly. "That's not something you can pay therapists to provide. It's just time and presence and consistency. You make it sound simple. The concept is simple. The execution is hard, especially when you're terrified of getting it wrong and damaging him further." Dante looks at her with those intense eyes. "You're not terrified, though. You just do what he needs." "I'm terrified constantly," Emma admits. "I'm terrified I'll say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, miss some crucial need. But I do it anyway because Luca deserves someone who tries, even if they fail sometimes." "You haven't failed. Neither have you, Dante. You're doing your best in an impossible situation. That counts for something." Dante reaches across the small space, his hand finding hers. Sophia used to say something similar. That trying and failing was better than not trying at all out of fear. She sounds like she was smart. She was, and stubborn, and fiercely protective of Luca. Dante smiles at the memory. "She would have liked you, I think. Would have appreciated how you fight for him. I wish I could have met her." "Me too." They sit in comfortable silence, hands intertwined, Luca sleeping peacefully between them. Emma knows this is dangerous territory, getting this close to Dante, letting herself feel things that go beyond professional care for his son. But as she looks at this complicated, dangerous, loving man, she can't quite bring herself to pull away. "Emma," Dante says eventually, his voice rough, "I need you to know something." "What?" "The photos that leaked. The article. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Calabrese is just getting started. He's going to come after you to hurt me." Emma's stomach tightens. "How?" "I don't know yet, but he will. And when he does, I need you to promise me something." "What?" "That you'll let me protect you." That you won't try to handle it alone or run away because you think you're putting us in danger. You're not. The danger exists because of who I am, not because of who you are, Dante. Promise me, Emma. Emma looks at Luca, sleeping peacefully, then back at Dante's desperate eyes. I promise, she whispers. Dante's relief is palpable. He squeezes her hand gently. Then we'll face whatever comes together. They fall asleep like that, in a blanket fort, holding hands across the space where a little boy dreams peacefully, protected by two people who would do anything to keep him safe. Outside, in the darkness of New York City, Vincent Calabrese watches surveillance footage of Emma entering the Moretti building with her suitcases. She's moved in completely. His lieutenant reports. This is our chance, boss. She's the weak point. Vincent smiles coldly. Then let's apply pressure and see what breaks. The attack comes 3 days later, and it doesn't target Emma where she expects. Emma is at a small private school in Brooklyn, consulting with teachers about adaptive curriculum for autistic students. Her new job, arranged by Dante. Nico is with her, as always, along with another guard named Marcus. Emma's phone rings. Her mother's care facility. Miss Chen, there's been an incident. Emma's blood runs cold. What kind of incident? A man came asking about your mother. Said he was family, had flowers. When our receptionist questioned him, he became aggressive. Security escorted him out. But Miss Chen, we're concerned about your mother's safety given your current associations. I'm coming right now. Emma hangs up and turns to Nico. My mother's facility. Someone tried to get to her. We need to go. Now. Nico is already on his phone, calling Dante. Within minutes, they're in the SUV, racing toward Queens. Emma's hands shake as she tries to call her mother's direct line. No answer. She's fine, Nico says firmly. The facility has good security. They stopped the threat. This time. What about next time? What if... Emma's phone rings. Dante. Emma, I've already sent a team to your mother's facility. She's being moved to a private care residence today. Top-tier medical staff. Full security detail. She'll be safe. Dante, I can't let you uproot her life because of me. It's already done. The facility is 15 minutes from the penthouse. You can visit daily. And Emma, the man who approached her? We're finding him. He won't be a problem. Emma knows what that means. Should be horrified. But all she can think about is her mother, vulnerable and confused in her facility, being targeted because Emma fell into this world. When they arrive at the facility, Emma finds her mother in her room, being packed up by efficient movers Dante has already dispatched. Her mother, Margaret, looks confused but not distressed. Emma? What's happening? These people say I'm moving to a nicer place? Emma takes her mother's frail hands. Yes, Mom, somewhere safer, closer to me, with better care. But who's paying? For this? Honey, we can't afford. It's handled, Mom. Everything's handled. Margaret searches her daughter's face. Even with early-stage dementia, she sees something there. Emma, are you in trouble? No, Mom. I'm being taken care of. We both are. The new facility is like something from a magazine. Private rooms with views, round-the-clock nursing, activities designed for cognitive stimulation. Emma's mother will have her own suite, essentially a small apartment. This is too much, Margaret whispers as they tour the space. Nothing is too much for you, Mom. As they're getting Margaret settled, Dante arrives. Emma hasn't seen him since the blanket fortnight, has been avoiding the complicated feelings that stirred up. But now he's here, commanding attention in his expensive suit, and Emma's heart does something complicated in her chest. Mrs. Chen, Dante says warmly, extending his hand. I'm Dante Moretti. It's an honor to finally meet you. Margaret shakes his hand, studying, to him with surprising clarity. You're the man taking care of my daughter. She's taking care of my son, actually. I'm just trying to repay the debt. By moving me into a palace? Margaret's eyes are sharp despite her condition. Mr. Moretti, what exactly is my daughter to you? Emma starts to intervene, but Dante holds up a gentle hand. Your daughter is an exceptional woman who has changed my son's life. She's brave, compassionate, and far too good for the world I inhabit. But she's chosen to be part of our family anyway, and that makes her precious to me, which means keeping the people she loves safe. Margaret considers this. Then, surprisingly, she smiles. You love her. Dante doesn't flinch. Yes, ma'am, I do. Emma's breath stops. They haven't discussed this. Haven't labeled what's growing between them. But Dante just confessed to her mother, in a memory care facility, surrounded by movers and security guards. Good, Margaret says simply. She deserves to be loved. Just don't break her heart, Mr. Moretti. She's been through enough. I have no intention of breaking anything about your daughter, Mrs. Chen. I promise you that. Later, after Margaret is settled and sleeping, Emma and Dante stand in the facility's garden, surrounded by November flowers and armed guards positioned discreetly around the perimeter. You told my mother you love me, Emma says quietly. I did. We've known each other for a month. I've known you for a month. I've loved you for about 3 weeks. Dante turns to face her fully. Since the night you built a blanket fort with my son and made him believe the world could be safe again. Since I watched you fight for him at that school consultation. Since you walked into my dangerous life and didn't flinch. Dante, you're not ready. I know. I'm not asking you to say it back. I'm just telling you the truth because your mother deserves honesty, and so do you. He steps closer. But Emma, whether you love me or not, you're not mine now. Mine to protect, mine to care for, mine to keep safe. Calabrese won't touch you. I won't allow it. That's not how love works. You can't just claim someone. In my world, that's exactly how it works. And you're in my world now, whether you plan to be or not. Emma should be angry at his presumption, should push back against being claimed like property. But she looks at this man who just moved her mother to a luxury facility, who sleeps in blanket forts with his son, who's been honest about his violence and his love with equal candor, and she realizes something terrifying. She's falling in love with him too. This is insane, Emma whispers. Completely, Dante agrees. Then he cups her face gently, giving her time to pull away. When she doesn't, he leans in slowly, carefully, and kisses her. It's soft, questioning, not demanding. His lips are warm against hers, and Emma feels something click into place, like a puzzle piece finding its home. When they part, Dante's eyes are dark with emotion. Still insane? More than ever, Emma breathes. But I think I might be okay with that. Dante smiles, really smiles, and Emma sees the man beneath the mob boss. The father, the protector, the person who loves fiercely and without reservation. Good, Dante says. Because Calabrese is escalating, and the next few weeks are going to be hell. But we'll face it together. Promise? I promise. They're interrupted by Nico, who approaches with unusual urgency. Boss, we've got a situation. The man who approached Mrs. Chen? We found him. He's Calabrese's nephew, and he's not talking, but we pulled his phone records. He's been in contact with someone at Luca's school. Dante's expression goes cold. Show me. As they walk back inside, Emma feels the weight of what's coming settle on her shoulders. This isn't just about photos and gossip anymore. Calabrese is targeting the most vulnerable points. Emma's mother, Luca's school, the fragile safety they've been building. And Emma realizes that loving Dante Moretti means accepting that sometimes love looks like violence, that protecting the people you care about in this world requires a darkness she's never had to face before. But as Dante's hand finds hers, strong and steady, Emma knows she's not facing it alone. Whatever comes next, they'll face it together, even if it destroys them both. The call comes at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Emma is asleep in her room when Dante's voice explodes through her door. Emma, wake up. Now. She's on her feet instantly, heart hammering. Dante stands in her doorway, still fully dressed, his face a mask of controlled fury. What's wrong? Luca's school. Someone bypassed their security system. Left a package in his classroom. Dante's voice is deadly calm, which terrifies Emma more than shouting would. Bomb squad cleared it. Wasn't a bomb. It was a message. What kind of message? Dante pulls up a photo on his phone. Emma's stomach turns. It's a child's drawing, crude but clear. A stick figure boy in a wheelchair. A stick figure woman with dark hair. Both figures have red X's drawn over them. Underneath in blocky letters. Choose. Your son or your whore. Emma's knees weaken. Dante catches her, his hands steady despite the rage she can feel vibrating through him. Calabrese is forcing my hand, Dante says quietly. He wants me to either give up territory or watch the people I love suffer. He thinks making me choose between you and Luca will break me. Then let me go, Emma says immediately. I'll leave the city. He'll lose interest if I'm not here. No. Dante's voice is absolute. You're not bait, Emma. You're not a bargaining chip. You're mine, and I don't abandon what's mine. Dante, if staying puts Luca in danger, everything puts Luca in danger. Being my son puts him in danger. That doesn't change because Calabrese escalates. Dante pulls Emma closer. We end this. Tonight, I'm calling a summit with the 5 families. Calabrese has broken every rule by targeting children and civilians. The other families won't stand for it. A summit? A meeting. Neutral ground. Where we settle this the old way. Dante's expression is grim. With witnesses and consequences. Emma understands what he's not saying. Someone might not walk away from this summit. I'm coming with you, Emma says. Absolutely not. If this is about me, I'm coming. I'm not hiding while you fight my battles, Dante. They stare at each other, wills clashing. Finally, Dante nods once. You stay with Nico at all times. You follow every instruction without question. And if things go wrong, you run. Understood? Understood. The summit takes place in a restaurant in Little Italy, closed for a private event. Emma walks in surrounded by Dante's men, wearing a simple black dress that Dante's stylist provided. She feels absurdly out of place among these dangerous men in their expensive suits. The 5 families are represented. Moretti, Calabrese, DiMarco, Russo, and Chen. Emma startles at the last name until Dante explains quietly that the Chen family controls Chinatown and parts of Queens, no relation to her despite the coincidence. Vincent Calabrese sits across the table, older than Emma expected, with cruel eyes and a smile that doesn't reach them. He looks at Emma like she's an insect. So this is the teacher? Vincent says mockingly. The whore who thinks she can play with the big boys. Dante's hand slams on the table. You will address her with respect or you won't address anyone ever again. Gentlemen, DiMarco, the oldest of the family heads, intervenes. We're here to settle grievances, not escalate them. Dante, you've called this summit. State your case. Dante stands, commanding the room effortlessly. Vincent Calabrese has violated the accords. He's targeted my 8-year-old autistic son. He's harassed a civilian woman. He's attempted to breach my family's territory through intimidation and violence against non-combatants. This breaks every code we've established. Your civilian lives in your penthouse, Vincent sneers. She's fair game. She's a teacher who helps special needs children. Dante's voice rises. She has no involvement in our business. Targeting her is cowardice. You made her fair game when you fell in love with her. Vincent shoots back. You showed weakness, Dante. I'm just exploiting it. By threatening an 8-year-old child? By leaving bombs in schools? The Russo family head, a woman named Carmela, speaks up. Vincent, you've gone too far. Children have always been off limits. The Moretti boy isn't just a child. He's the heir. He's a legitimate target. He's 8 years old and disabled, the Chen family representative says coldly. What honor is there in terrorizing a child who can't defend himself? Vincent realizes too late that the room has turned against him. The other families see what Dante saw, that Vincent's tactics threaten the fragile peace that keeps their world functioning. Dante wants my territory, Vincent argues desperately. He's using this woman and his damaged son to manipulate you all into supporting his expansion. I want nothing from you except a guarantee you'll never threaten my family again, Dante interrupts. But since you've proven your word means nothing, I'm proposing a different solution. Dante pulls out a folder, slides it across the table. Emma watches Vincent's face drain of color as he opens it. That's documentation of every accord you've broken in the last 3 years, Dante says calmly. Unauthorized hits in Russo territory. Stolen shipments from Chen operations. Money laundering that endangered DiMarco family businesses. You haven't just targeted me, Vincent. You've been stealing from everyone at this table. The other family heads lean in, examining the documents. Their expressions darken. Where did you get this? Vincent's voice shakes. Your nephew, the one you sent to threaten Emma's mother. He talks quite freely when properly motivated. Dante's smile is cold. He gave you up to save himself. Told us everything. Vincent lunges across the table. Dante doesn't flinch. Vincent's own men hold him back. You're finished, Vincent. DeMarco says heavily. The council finds you in violation of the accords. Your territory is forfeit. Your family is dissolved. You have 48 hours to leave New York permanently. If you or any of your blood are seen in this city after that, it's open season. You can't do this. It's already done, Carmela says. Be grateful we're giving you your life. That's more mercy than you showed Dante's family. Vincent looks around the table, seeing no allies, no escape. He's been outmaneuvered completely. His eyes land on Emma, blazing with hatred. This isn't over, he hisses. You think you've won, but… He moves fast, surprisingly fast for a man his age. A gun appears in his hand. Emma doesn't have time to think. She sees the gun raising, sees it pointing not at Dante but at her. Time slows. Dante moves, throwing himself in front of Emma. The gunshot is deafening in the enclosed space. Dante staggers but doesn't fall. His vest caught the bullet. But Vincent is already aiming for a second shot, this time at Dante's head. Emma doesn't think. She grabs a wine bottle from the table and swings with everything she has. It connects with Vincent's skull. He drops like a stone. The room erupts. Guards swarm. Emma is pulled back by Nico while Dante's men disarm Vincent's people. DeMarco is shouting orders. Carmela is on her phone calling her own security. Emma can't breathe. She just hit a mob boss with a wine bottle. She could have killed him. Might have killed him. Dante is beside her suddenly, checking her for injuries. Are you hurt? You threw yourself in front of a bullet for me. Emma's voice comes out strangled. Of course I did. I love you. You could have died. So could you. That's not acceptable. Dante cups her face, forcing her to look at him. Emma, breathe. You're okay. I'm okay. Vincent is neutralized. Emma looks over Dante's shoulder. Vincent is being dragged to his feet by his own men, blood streaming from where the bottle connected with his temple. He's conscious but dazed. The council's decision stands, DeMarco says coldly. Vincent Calabrese, you and your family have 48 hours. After that, you're ghosts. Vincent's men carry him out. The other families begin departing quickly, wanting no part of the aftermath. DeMarco pauses by Dante. Your woman has spirit. She might survive this world after all. After everyone leaves, Emma and Dante sit alone in the empty restaurant. Emma's hands won't stop shaking. I hit him with a wine bottle, she says numbly. You saved my life, Dante corrects. He was aiming for my head. The vest wouldn't have helped. I could have killed him. You could have. You didn't. Shows. Remarkable restraint, actually. Dante takes her hands, stilling their shaking. Emma, look at me. You did what you had to do to protect someone you love. That's not wrong. That's survival. Is this what my life is now? Violence and danger and summits where people get shot? No, Dante says firmly. This was an anomaly. Vincent overstepped, and he's been dealt with. The other families will honor the peace now. Things will calm down. Promise? I promise. And Emma. Dante hesitates. After tonight, you can walk away. I'll still protect you and your mother. I'll still ensure Luca has the best care. But you don't have to stay in this world if you don't want to. Emma looks at this man who threw himself in front of a bullet for her, who loves his son so fiercely, who promised honesty and has delivered it, even when the truth is ugly. I love you, Emma says. The words feel inevitable, like they've been building since the first night she calmed Luca's meltdown. I love you and Luca, and I'm not walking away. Dante's eyes close briefly, relief washing over his features. When he opens them, they're bright with emotion. Then marry me, he says. Emma's brain short-circuits. What? Marry me. Make it official. Be Luca's mother legally, not just functionally. Be my wife. Be part of this family completely. Dante, we've known each other for a month. I've loved you for most of it. I've watched you with my son. I've seen your courage, your compassion, your strength. I know everything I need to know. Dante pulls out a ring box. Where he was hiding it, Emma has no idea. I'm not asking you to decide right now. But Emma Chen, I'm asking you to consider spending your life with us, with me and Luca, making our broken family whole. The ring is beautiful. A simple emerald surrounded by small diamonds, elegant without being ostentatious. That was Sophia's ring, Emma realizes. It was. And before she died, She made me promise something. She made me promise that if I ever found someone else who could love Luca the way he deserved, I would let myself be happy again. That I wouldn't shut myself off forever. Dante's voice cracks slightly. She would have loved you, Emma. She would have been grateful Luca had you. Emma takes the ring, feeling its weight. It feels like responsibility and promise and future all at once. Ask me again in 3 months, Emma says finally. After things have calmed down. After Luca has had time to adjust to me living there. Ask me when you're sure this isn't just adrenaline and fear talking. Dante nods slowly. Fair enough. But Emma, my answer won't change. In 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, I'll still love you. I'll still want you to be my wife. Then you won't mind waiting to hear my answer. I'll wait as long as you need. They leave the restaurant as dawn breaks over New York City. Emma leans against Dante in the back of the SUV, exhausted and overwhelmed and somehow happy despite everything. Her phone buzzes. A text from Luca's overnight nurse. He's asking for you. Says he had a bad dream. We need to get home. Emma says. Luca needs us. Dante smiles. Home. I like the sound of that. 3 months later, Emma stands in the penthouse living room wearing a simple white dress. Her mother sits in the front row, lucid today, tears streaming down her face. Luca stands beside Dante, serving as best man, wearing his special noise-canceling headphones that Emma decorated with tiny dinosaurs. The ceremony is small. Just family, Dante's inner circle, Emma's mother, a handful of people from both their worlds who have proven trustworthy. When the officiant asks if she takes Dante Moretti to be her husband, Emma looks at this complicated, dangerous, loving man, and says clearly, I do. When Dante kisses her, Luca cheers so loudly they all laugh. At the reception, Emma dances with Luca, who's gotten much braver about social situations. He still needs breaks, still gets overwhelmed sometimes, but he's thriving in ways no one thought possible. You're really my mom now, Luca says seriously. Legal and everything. Legal and everything, Emma confirms. Is that okay? It's better than okay. It's perfect. Luca hugs her tight. I love you, Emma. I mean, Mom. Emma's eyes fill with tears. I love you too, sweetheart. Later, Dante finds her on the terrace, looking out over Central Park. He wraps his arms around her from behind. No regrets? He asks quietly. Emma thinks about her old life. The tiny apartment, the crushing debt, the constant struggle. Then she thinks about Luca's laughter, her mother's comfortable new home, the family she's gained. Not even one, Emma says, turning in his arms. Though I still think we're completely insane. Absolutely insane, Dante agrees, kissing her softly. But perfectly happy. Inside, Luca is showing Emma's mother his dinosaur collection, speaking clearly and excitedly. The life Emma stumbled into by accident has become the life she chose deliberately. And as Dante's arms tighten around her, as their family fills the penthouse with warmth and laughter and love, Emma knows she'd make the same choice 1,000 times over. She came into their lives as a teacher helping a struggling child. She became so much more a wife, a mother, a bridge between Dante's dangerous world and the normal life Luca deserves. Their story began with a meltdown and a teacher's compassion. It ends, or rather, continues, with a family built from broken pieces, stronger for having been shattered and rebuilt. And in the heart of New York City, in a penthouse overlooking Central Park, 3 people who found each other by chance prove that family isn't always what you're born into. Sometimes it's what you choose, sometimes it's what chooses you, and sometimes it's exactly what saves you. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.